Okay, let's talk about your business setup as a part of your artist development plan. Now, in this part of your plan, which is part 6, what you're going to do is the plan is for the business of the artist is to recognize, first of all, that you're in business. And then it would be a real smart idea to determine what type of business you are, where you're located, who's involved with the business, who's the owner of the business, and that can help benefit the artist by defining these things up front. Now, if you're working with collaborators, you have to understand that maybe they're a business partner. Maybe they're just a work for hire. Maybe you're just collaborating and you're going to co-own some things as separate entities. But these are things that you need to determine for yourself. If you're in a band, perhaps you own the business of the band. However, perhaps you have partners in the band and they also co-own it with you. So these are things that need to be addressed in this section. Also, in this section of your artist development plan, I recommend that you put a small sentence at the end that says something like this. The business plan for the artist is a separate document. That's it. So that way, someone reading the artist development plan recognizes that there's a business plan also that goes along with it and that it's a separate document. Okay, so what we're going to talk about here is setting up your business, just getting it going. Now, if you're really interested and you want to do this as a real business, I recommend that you think clearly about this. And after you come up with your business name and come up with what you're going to do, where you're going to be located, you might want to file for a business within the state of Ohio, since that's where we are. And that's done through the Secretary of State. Their website is www.sos.state.oh.us. Click on business and then select the type of business that you're going to set up. And you can also download the forms from that. So the first thing you're going to need to do, and we talked about some of this in the last class, is come up with a good quality artist name. So the business setup, we've already talked about the artist name, and now I'd like to at least introduce to you that there's a type of business that this is going to be set up as. It's going to be one of three things. Either the artist is a sole proprietor, the artist is a partner or partnership, or the artist is a corporation. Each one of them is $100 when you file with the state. So if you have your choice, it's all the same price, $100, and you can be up and running and in business within the next day or so. Okay, so you're going to need a good name to make this work. Now, as far as your type, of the three, I would like to at least introduce to you or explore the possibilities of a corporation, a LLC, a limited liability corporation. What this does is it sets you as a limited liability. So if there's ever a problem, you're only liable for the amount of money that you put into the business and nothing more. That's why it's called a limited liability corporation. So whatever the artist name or the business name, could be the same, could be different. We talked about this last week. You have to determine whether or not it's a sole proprietor, partnership, or an LLC, and then put this into this section of your artist development plan. The next thing you're going to do is register that name with the state. You're going to spend your $100 and you're going to file for an LLC or a partnership or a sole proprietor, and they're going to issue you a state ID number, an EIN, employment identification number. You then will file with the IRS to get your federal tax ID number. So you're going to use that state registration number to get your federal tax ID number. Now it will ask you, when you do that, it will ask you for your social. Don't give them your social, give them your state ID number. And then they will give you a federal tax ID number. Once you have that, then you go down to your local bank or credit union and you open up a bank account. Don't use your social. Use your federal tax ID number.
Going to be a business bank account?
Yes, it'll be a business bank account. And then you're going to figure out a way to accept payments. So perhaps you want to go through PayPal or Square or one of those things. So what they're going to ask you for is your bank account information to know where to direct deposit any funds that are coming in. You have to do it in this order for it to work. Okay? Good name, business type, coming up with that, register with the state, register with the IRS, open up a bank account, and then start, and PayPal's easy. Just go right to PayPal and open an account with PayPal and have a place where the funds can then go, which will be your bank account. Okay, so what you need to do, we talked about this and it was in the handouts. There's also some presentations up on Blackboard. You're going to be doing a search to find out if the name is available, and you're going to look it all up and you're going to do the research to make sure that name has never been used anywhere in the world and that it's your name for your artist. And this would be the same thing as what you would do as a name for the business. We talked about this last week as well. And then register it. Okay, so sole proprietor, partnership, or corporation. Once again, I recommend the corporation, the LLC. Sole proprietor means that you have no partners. It's just you, and you're doing what you need to do for business. So it's all coming into you, and a lot of people do sole proprietors, and that's fine to a certain point. Partnership, I don't recommend it, but certainly can get into a partnership, an LLP. And then a corporation would be an LLC. So this is where you're going with what you're doing. And you need to select a business type. Okay, and you're going to register with the state of Ohio or wherever state you want to be registered in. In the state of Ohio, you can do it online, www.sos.state.oh.us, and everything is right there. And I believe, and I'm pretty sure you can pay for it right there with a debit card or credit card. Typically what I've done in the past, because I don't like to bring in my personal stuff, is I'll just go get a money order and I'll send it down to them. And then you can wait for them to send you the information, or you can look it up in a couple days online and it'll show that your company is registered and it'll give you a state ID number. And that's the number you're going to need when you file with your IRS. So you're going to need to receive your federal tax ID number. So after receiving from your state your employer identification number, your EIN, you're going to register with the IRS to get your federal tax ID number. And that number is needed to open up a bank account. So open up a business bank account, secure online banking with the bank, obtain a debit card from your account, and keep track of your routing number and your account number. Those you're going to need for lots of future things. So when you do your banking, you're going to need the routing number and you're going to need your account number. You're going to need that for PayPal and Square anyway. So put that into your files of what you're going to be working on. Now, every expense that you have for your business, for the artist, use the debit card. And that way you keep track of every expense that's going through that business. Okay, so then once you have your bank account set up, you want to be able to secure a way that people can pay you. And you can do this for your website, you can do it through emails, you can do it through for your merch table, that people will be able to pay you for your services or your products. So you want to open up an account with one of those pay companies. And the two that I have as represented here on the slide is either PayPal or Square, and there's others. These are the two most popular ones. And that way you can have a way that people can pay you for, let's say they want to buy a download, or they want to buy a CD, or they want to buy a t-shirt from you, from your merch table. This is a way that you can get paid electronically. Okay, so what's the plan? In your artist development plan, section 6, you want to write the plan for the business is, and then you want to mention what type of business it is. You want to mention where it's located, and you want to mention as much of who the owners are, for example, as much about the business. And then at the end, please don't forget to put in that your artist business plan is a separate document. Okay, are there questions on the business setup?
What is the main differences between the sole proprietorship and the LLC, and why do you recommend it to be that way?
Well, there's risks involved, and this information is on the handouts and in the book as well, but there's risks involved with no matter what you set up. As a sole proprietor, let's say that you are on stage, or you or the artist is on stage performing, and I use this example because it's just simple, and you fall off the stage. And I'm not saying in a drunken stupor, but you just fall off the stage and you hurt somebody. And maybe it's, maybe you poke somebody's eye out with the end of your guitar or whatever. You're going to go to court over this. Now, if it's a sole proprietor, you could lose everything, potentially, especially if you killed somebody by accident. A light trust falls over that you own. Okay, so you could potentially lose everything that you own. Your car, your house, your gear, your equipment, your copyrights, everything. However, if you form a limited liability corporation, and we have the same thing happen where you fall off the stage and perhaps kill somebody, or a light trust falls over, etc., your company can then file a bankruptcy instead of you, the person, and the company is only liable, it's limited liability, and you're only liable for the amount of money that you put into the company. They can't touch your other stuff because it's a company that's being sued, not you, the person. So it's a safety precaution. It's a risk reduction move. So when you're thinking about coming up with a type of business, it's got to be one of those three. And this has got to go into your plan, one of those three. And they're all $100 each. I don't know about you, but I like the idea of limiting my liability. And if I can do it for the exact same price I would pay if I was a sole proprietor, sign me up. Does that answer your question?
I guess so. I just don't understand why anyone would pick sole proprietorship if it is just as easy as registering as limited liability, but with the same conditions.
Yeah, and there's more, but that's the main one. And then as far as filing your taxes, you just file a Schedule C with your personal tax return for a limited liability corporation. If you're a partnership within that limited liability and you've got other people involved, then you need to talk to your accountant about how you're going to file your taxes for both of you. But if it's just you just file a Schedule C that goes right along with it.
I also had a question about the business setup.
Okay, Brent.
My question was, do you recommend having like a guaranteed like way to bring profit in before, registering the company name and getting all of like the legal stuff set up? Or do you recommend having like a certain amount of money put aside for that business bank account? Or is it okay to set that up and then kind of build into building up a profit?
It doesn't matter. I've had companies that I set up, you got to open a bank account, so that means you got to have some money in there.
Right.
And if you're going to Noteworthy, you have to start off with a savings account, which is $25. And then you can open up a checking account for $5 and then ask them for a debit card.
Hmm.
So you got to keep $25 in there all the time.
Right.
You don't need to put any more than that in there. You can use it as you need, and the business is up and running.
So, but there's no like, it's just you cut your losses then if you were to start a business and it not go anywhere within the next couple of years.
Yeah, if nothing happens after 3 years and you have no income at all, then
Yeah.
you're considered a hobby with the IRS. And so they're not real good at, keeping track of those 3 years. But technically, you would become a hobby, and therefore you're no longer a business. So if you wanted to fold the business, you can just close up your bank account and
Move on.
send a letter to the state that you're no longer in business.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Other questions? Okay. Well, I do hope that you start a business here real soon and think about what's going into it. So when you're thinking about your company summary, you're going to put in a brief bio about what the business is, and then the who, what, when, where, why that you're doing this, and then put it into your plan. So this can work out for you as you're doing this. As far as your artist business plan goes, we're going to be going through a bunch of these things with your company, your products and services, your sales, your marketing, your competition, your promotion and your finance, your management, your technology and your resources, and all those things will end up into your business plan. And then for this part of your artist development plan, it might be a good idea just to mention a few of those things. Maybe you're already gigging, and maybe you're already recording, and maybe you're already selling merch. If so, just put it into the plan that this is already going on and there's plan for growth and those kind of things. So in part 6 of your artist development plan about your business setup, you might want to think about some of the other things that are going into your business, or if it's actually already running, put in some details about what's running about it. And if it's not, you can always put in there, this is a startup company. The business plan is being developed. And it is, because that's what we're doing in this class.